was 2019 and life was shifting. My son's mother and I had just ended a 10-year relationship. Not the messy, shout in the street, throw the clothes out the window type of breakup. Nah, this one was different. It was emotional, yes. How could it not be after a decade and a child together? But it was mutual. Respect, grown. We both knew it was time to part ways, and we did it without trying to destroy each other in the process. But in that quiet emotional storm, something hit me. I was 35, I had 3 sons from 2 different women, and I've been a father since I was a teenager. Do the math and you'll see I spent my entire adult life parenting. Every decision, every sacrifice, every moment of joy and stress had involved being someone's dad. And honestly, I felt done. I didn't want to keep gambling with fate. I didn't want to be that dude in his 40s popping up with another kid from another woman, creating another complicated dynamic. 2 baby moms was plenty. 3 sons, that's a legacy, a whole starting lineup, a blessing and a handful. I knew deep down I had nothing more to prove in the fertility department. But the real decision didn't come from pressure, it came from clarity. I had a conversation with my boy Tone, who had gotten a vasectomy a few years before me. A real one. Tone kept it all the way honest. Told me what it was like, how it felt, how he healed, and most importantly, how free he felt afterward. That convo sat with me for a while. It planted the seed. Now don't get it twisted. This wasn't an overnight decision. I struggled heavy. Thoughts like, am I taking away my manhood? What if I meet someone new and want a daughter? Is this really the move, or am I letting fear call the shots? That ego ain't no joke. The idea that being able to have kids is somehow tied to your masculinity. That's a deep-rooted belief a lot of us carry without even realizing it, and I had to confront it head on. But I also started thinking more critically. Why is the burden always on women to control birth? Birth control, hormones, weight gain, mood swing, risks of blood clots. Even getting their tubes tied is a major surgery. And us, we just get a quick snip and an ice pack. That's it. So why not step up and be responsible? Especially when I already knew I was done. That was the game changer. This wasn't about ego. It was about responsibility. It wasn't about fear. It was about freedom. It wasn't about what might happen in the future. It was about owning the decision that made sense right now. So I did it. I chose peace. I chose freedom. I chose maturity. And let me tell you, it was one of the realest grown man moves I've ever made. So yeah, I made the decision. I was ready to shut the factory down. No more pull out and pray missions. No more anxious target runs for plan B. No more wondering if that I'm late text was a joke or the start of a whole new chapter I didn't ask for. But making the decision was the easy part. Now I had to actually go sit across from a doctor, talk about my balls like it was a PowerPoint presentation, and willingly sign up to have someone snip me like garden shears on a Saturday morning. Let's just say the consultation was eye-opening. To be continued in part 2, the consultation. So here we are. Decision made, ego checked, legacy secured. Now it was time to go see the man with the plan, aka the urologist. The consultation was surprisingly cool. The doctor, he was cool as hell, straightforward, calm, and seasoned. 25 years in the game and hundreds of vasectomies under his belt. And not a single horror story attached to his name. That was important to me. I wasn't about to let some rookie with shaky hands practice on my pride and joy. I sat down, told him exactly what I told y'all in part 1. 3 sons, 2 baby moms, been a dad since I was a teen, and I'm done emotionally, mentally, and financially. Done. He nodded like he heard it before, but still gave me the respect of listening like it was his first time. That's when I knew I picked the right one. No judgment, no lectures, just facts, stats, and the full breakdown of what to expect. But then came the question that caught me off guard. Would you like to do the procedure here in the office or in the hospital under anesthesia? Now, logic would say hospital, right? Go to sleep, wake up, snip, done deal. But I paused. Because here's the plot twist. This urology office was filled with young, attractive nurses and assistants. Like shockingly attractive. I felt like they did it on purpose. And I know I was there for a medical procedure, but I wasn't mentally prepared for this kind of distraction. So the doctor sent me outside to schedule the procedure with one of the nurses, and she asked me, where would you like to have it done? I flipped it back on her. I asked her, what do you suggest? Why did I say that? That's when the peanut gallery kicked in. Suddenly, it felt like all of the women in the back came out with charts, data, and charm. They were saying stuff like, oh, it's quick and easy here. You'll be out in 30 minutes. Dr. So-and-so is amazing, and we're here to help if you need it. I felt like I couldn't say no. They were too convincing. I don't know if it was their energy or just peer pressure from beautiful people, but they had me. It felt less like I was booking surgery and more like I was buying a car from a really friendly sales team. So there it was. I booked it. In office, awake, fully aware. I left the office thinking, what the hell did I just agree to? Nervous? Yep. Committed? Definitely. Turning back? Not a chance. Now, all I had to do was wait for the day. But before that came the night before. The final countdown. The mental marathon and the beginning of the end. To be continued in part 3 the night before. Oh man, the night before the vasectomy. Let me tell you, I wasn't right. The anxiety had me in the full chokehold. I'm talking about the same energy I had pacing around the hospital room when my sons were born. Heart racing, mind spinning, overthinking every decision I've made since puberty. It's wild to think about it now. Back then, I was waiting to become a dad. Now I was waiting to make sure I never became one again. Full circle. And the emotions, they were all over the place. I felt nervous. I felt uncertain. I felt like I was about to lose a part of myself. But also, I felt like I was about to gain something too. Control, peace, freedom. By this point, I was basically a vasectomy expert. I've done so much research, I could have led a TED Talk on it. I've watched YouTube videos with way too much graphic details. I read through Reddit threads, and I even joined a couple of Facebook support groups. I was deep in the rabbit hole. Sleep? What sleep? I maybe got 3 hours if I'm lucky. My brain would not shut off. Every position I laid in, I suddenly remember, oh yeah, tomorrow someone's cutting into my nuts. Try relaxing after that thought. I laid there questioning everything. What if something goes wrong? What if I regret this in 5 years? What if I meet a woman who really wants a baby girl? What if? It was a million questions in my head. But every time my mind went down that spiral, I brought it back to the same truth. I knew what I wanted. I knew why I was doing this, and deep down, I knew I made the right choice. Still, the unknown is undefeated when it comes to messing with your mind. So I laid there scrolling my phone, thinking about everything that's going to happen tomorrow, trying to mentally prepare myself to walk into that office with courage, calm, and compression shorts. And then morning came. The sun peeked through the blinds. The day was here. Game time. To be continued in part 4, the day of the procedure. You don't want to miss this. Everything that morning felt like it was moving in slow motion. The drive there, quiet, no music, no podcast, just me and my thoughts. The walk into the office, real chill on the outside, but on the inside, my stomach was doing backflips. Even the nurses, who usually had this friendly, flirty energy, weren't as comforting as I thought they'd be. I mean, don't get me wrong, they were still smiling, but on this day, that smile hit different. Like, we know what's about to happen to you kind of smile. After a short wait, I got called into the back. The doctor came in, same as he did at the consultation. Cool, confident, calm. He broke everything down again, step by step. And at this point, I already knew the whole script. I'd done so much research, I could have finished his sentences. But I sat there nodding like it was all brand new, just letting him do his thing. Then we got to the part where he said, okay, I'm going to give you 2 small shots down there to numb you. They'll feel like little bee stings. And look, when the doctor says bee stings, he means bee stings. I felt both of those shots and yeah, not pleasant. It was quick, but it made me flinch like someone snapped me with a rubber band from across the room. After that, he stepped out for a few minutes while the numbness kicked in. I sat there alone, staring at the ceiling like, is this really happening? Alright. He came back in and told me to lie down and then pulled out tape. Yep, tape. He taped my penis to my leg. No warning, just a quick, we'll move this out the way. I guess it makes sense. You don't want anything dangling in the danger zone, right? After that, the numbing really kicked in because I didn't feel a thing. I stayed locked in on the ceiling the whole time. No way I was looking down. But I could see him reaching for scissors, gauze, clamps, and all types of sharp stuff. I remember thinking, yo, this dude could like cut off my whole shit and I wouldn't even know. This shit was driving me crazy. Watching him snipping, switching out bloody gauze pads, and I just lay there thinking about dinner or something to distract myself. I wasn't in pain, but the idea of what was happening kept me tense. 20 minutes later, it was done, just like that. He stitched me up, gave me some post-op instructions, handed me a prescription for pain meds, and scheduled the follow-up. I got dressed, slowly but very carefully, like I didn't want to disturb the scene of the crime. The walkout, man, I kept my head down like I just left the job interview. I knew I bombed. I didn't want to make eye contact with anybody. I felt like everyone in the waiting room knew, like they all watched the same movie I just started. But I made it. I survived. Now it was time to head home, ice up, and rest. And let me tell you, once the meds wore off, that's when things got real. To be continued in part 5, the aftermath. You wouldn't believe this, but I taught my spin class later that night. Yep, just hours after my vasectomy, I showed up, threw my mic on, and led the class like a champ. Now, full transparency, I didn't get on the bike because, that wasn't happening. But I was there, coaching from the sidelines like Phil Jackson. Now, to be fair, I didn't feel much pain that night. I think the numbness was still working its magic. I was feeling brave, cocky even. But then Saturday pulled up and I was humbled. I woke up and my scrotum felt like it had its own heartbeat. I looked down and it was swollen up like a damn grapefruit. The ice pack became my best friend and the couch, my only destination. No sudden movements, no bending, no lifting, no teaching. Just me, Netflix, and a strategic pillow placement. For the next 2 days, I was laid up like I had just survived a backyard wrestling match. They told me not to ejaculate for about 2 weeks, and believe me, I wasn't in the mood anyway. But the instructions were clear. After that window, I had to clear the pipes a few times before my follow-up test. And if I was gonna have sex, I needed to wear a condom just in case any sperm snuck past the construction site before the bridge got cut off. That makes sense. Fast forward about a month or so, it was time for the final exam. And man, this part right here, this was the wildest part of the whole process. So I'm back in the same urology office, greeted by the same team of nurses with the usual big smiles and playful energy. Good morning with some extra O's in there like they were already in on the joke. They led me to a little room with a chair, a sink, and a few very outdated magazines, and that awkward air that only exists in rooms where grown men are expected to perform solo under pressure. I was on a mission, no time to waste. Got in there, handled my business in under 5 minutes. But I didn't want to just come out right away and look like I broke a record. So I sat there for like an extra 10 minutes, checked my emails, scrolled through IG. When I came out, one of the nurses smiled and said, "Oh, that was fast." I just laughed and hit her with a smooth, "I'm efficient." A few days later, I got the call from the doc. He said, "You're all clear, no sperm in your sample." Man, best news I've heard in a long time. No more what ifs, no more scare texts, no more roll of the dice intimacy. Just freedom, responsibility, control. It's been 6 years since that day, and I can honestly say I have zero regrets. Not one. Getting a vasectomy was one of the best, most grown man decisions I've ever made. It wasn't about fear, it wasn't about ego, it was about knowing who I was, what I wanted, and protecting my peace and my future. And if you're a man who knows he's done having kids, I recommend it 100%. So yeah, no kids in 6 years and no regrets, just a peace of mind. The end.